What is up, homie? Most people in the military are sitting on benefits that can literally make them a millionaire, and instead they use it to buy a Charger, a Mustang, go out drinking every weekend, or finance a wedding ring for the girl at the strip club or tattoo parlor right outside of the base that they met last week, who's been ran through by the entire squadron. And I'm not just talking shit, because I do get it. I mean, when you're young, getting a steady paycheck with job security, BAH, BAS, healthcare, paid time off, then every holiday weekend starts to feel like you hit the jackpot in life. But that's also the trap, because the military gives you something that most civilians would kill for. Not freedom, but leverage. And there is a massive difference, because freedom means you can do whatever you want, while leverage means you have tools that allow you to build a life where one day in the future you can do whatever it is that you want for you and your family, whether it's sip Muay Thais while training Muay Thai, getting $5 massages on a beach in Thailand, or it can be providing for your family so your wife never has to work for a boss who stresses her out around coworkers who are hitting on her all day, to then have her coming home stressed and fed up, and instead of that, giving her the option to open up a bakery mixed with a salon slash cafe combination all in one that loses $30,000 per month. But hey, she's happy and living her dream, and you've built leverage. So the $30K monthly fund to support her vision, there's no problem. You see, the issue is that most people treat military benefits like discounts instead of wealth generating assets. They think, hey, cool, free college, or hey, cool, 10% off of this burger at Five Guys. Shout out Five Guys, best burger in the game. But the issue is that they never connect the dots and realize that if you use these benefits correctly, they can fund investments, property, eliminate debt, open doors to jobs that pay mid to high six figures per year, and then give you a head start on life that most people never have, allowing you to begin designing your ideal life. My name is Zadow-Hogan, and I served in the Air Force as an air traffic controller, and then I left the military, where I was then able to scale a remote one-person business to $20,000 per month. And one of the biggest things I realized after separating is that the military is like being dealt a gray hand of cards, pocket aces, and while it doesn't guarantee that you'll win the game, it does give you a massive advantage over most, as long as you take them and use those pocket aces while you're still in, because most people wait until they separate and get their DD-214 to begin asking questions like, okay, so what do I do from here? Wrong question, wrong time, because you should be asking that while you still have the paycheck coming in, you still have the benefits, the structure, the safety net, and the bar girl who you met in the SED in South Korea named Sprinkle still begging you to put a ring on it. Because if you wait until you're out, you effectively took one of those pocket aces and ripped it in half. But that's not to say it's too late. In this video, I'm going to break down the top 7 military benefits that can make you a millionaire. Not because the benefits themselves magically make you rich, but because each one can become the ultimate leverage point for you to stop treating the military like a cage or the final chapter, and instead treating it like the launchpad and the foundation that it actually is. Starting with the most boring benefit that can quietly make you rich, which is the Blended Retirement System, TSP. And this is basically the military's version of a 401k, except under the Blended Retirement System, the government can actually match you, which has not always been the case, because before January 1st, 2018, the only retirement system the military had was if you stayed in for 20 years. If you didn't, you get no benefits. But after January 1st, 2018, they began offering TSP matching for people who plan to stay in less than 20 years. And if you opt in for this, they will match your contributions up to 5%, which means if you are not contributing enough to match, you are basically telling Uncle Sam, no thanks, I'd rather spend that free money on Zins, DoorDash, and a 24% APR Dodge Charger. And no, the TSP is not sexy. You're not going to impress the bar girl outside the base by explaining compound interest to her while she's trying to convince you, I'm not like other girls. But that is the point. The things that make you rich are usually not sexy in the beginning, and hey, maybe she might be interested by compound interest. The second benefit is the VA loan. And this is one of the most powerful wealth building tools that the military gives you because it allows you to buy real estate with better terms than most civilians will ever get. Literally no money down. And VA says that nearly 90% of VA-backed loans are made with no down payment. But most people think and look at the VA loan as, cool, I can buy a house. Wrong. Think leverage. You can buy a house, you can live in it, you can rent out the spare rooms and have other people paying the mortgage while the military pays you BAH. Now, instead of your BAH disappearing into some apartment complex with a broken gate and a pool nobody uses, while you transfer wealth from Uncle Sam to your landlord, from the government to your landlord, you can instead use it to go towards an asset that will print you money. And this is how you start thinking like someone who builds wealth. Not, can I afford the payment, but can this asset help me buy back my time? Third is tuition assistance. And this is where most people mess up because they wait until they get out to start learning or going to school or using their GI Bill. But while you're still in and you have a paycheck, you have housing, food, allowance, healthcare, all paid for, you get access to education benefits that can help you get degrees, certifications, or skills before you ever even touch your GI Bill. You can leave the military with a 4-year degree. Well, they'll pay for your books. They might not pay for your class, but the classes are free. They'll pay for the exams you take. And so instead of spending your nights in the dorms playing Xbox, drinking Fireball, and arguing with Sprinkle, you could be learning something that increases your earning power. Cybersecurity, business, marketing, sales, finance, real estate, something that creates leverage. Because the goal is not to just get a degree. The goal is to build a skill stack that gives you options. Fourth thing I want to talk about is the GI Bill, specifically the post 9/11 GI Bill, which covers school, training, housing allowance, books, licensing, certifications, tests, apprenticeships, and even certain entrepreneurship training programs, depending on how you use it. But most people only see this as free college, and that is small thinking because the GI Bill is not just school money. It is a transition runway. It can give you time to retrain, to build skills, to reduce pressure, and avoid panic when you separate, because panic is expensive. And when you get out with no plan, no savings, no skill, no direction, no bitches, and no income outside of a job, you start making desperate decisions. While the GI Bill can buy back your time, and time, when used correctly, becomes cash. The fifth benefit is VA disability. And I want to be very clear here because I am not telling anyone to exaggerate claims or be one of those people trying to turn a paper cut from basic training into an income stream. But if you served and you got injured, mentally or physically, document it, get help, and file properly for what you actually earned. Because VA disability can be tax-free monthly payments for service-connected conditions. And this matters because predictable cash flow gives you breathing room. Breathing room means you can invest, you can take calculated risks. It means you are not getting out of the military and immediately begging for some job you hate because you have no options. Use it ethically, but do not ignore it out of pride. And if you are still in the military, then you need to do a Google search on Benefits Delivery Discharge, BDD. This will get your VA claim processed before you ever separate, so you'll have a rating by the time you get out. If you do not do this, you will waste weeks or months, countless hours trying to figure out the system afterwards at the nearest VA hospital near you, and trust me, it will be 20 times more complicated than if you just did a simple Google search right now or after this video on BDD, Benefits Delivery Discharge. The next thing I want to touch on is SkillBridge. This lets service members with 180 days or fewer get real-world training and work experience with industry partners before discharge, which is insane if you use that correctly. And on top of that, if you have a security clearance, technical background, leadership experience, aviation, cyber, intel, logistics, contracting, anything like that, there are many civilian companies that hold that on a pedestal. Now, this does not mean you are guaranteed some magical six-figure job, but it means if you do not get a magical six-figure job, then you did something wrong because you have doors open that other people do not. And most people waste it because they wait until the last 90 days and then start asking what LinkedIn is. Start earlier, build relationships, talk to people, ask questions, because your network is also a benefit. Seventh thing I want to touch on is your paycheck and safety net, which is the one nobody thinks about as a benefit. Because while you're in, you have a paycheck, you have healthcare, you have BAH, BAS, leave, structure, and a roof over your head. And if you use that correctly, the military becomes the perfect stepping stone into your next life. Because while all of those benefits are great, the TSP, builds long-term wealth. The VA loan builds real estate wealth. The GI Bill can buy back your time. Disability can protect your downside if you qualify. Skill bridge and security clearances can open doors, but none of these necessarily teach you how to generate cash on demand. And that's what remote high ticket sales does. Sales is a skill that lets you make money from anywhere without needing to start some massive business from scratch, without needing to build your own product or become the next Amazon, without needing a degree, and without needing to learn any complicated tech or AI shit. And if you are still in the military right now, you have the perfect setup. Learn sales while your bills are covered, practice communication, learn how remote online high ticket offers work, learn how people make buying decisions, and build the skill before you need it, because once you separate, the safety net gets smaller. Look, the military does not automatically make you rich, but it does give you leverage that most people would kill for. The problem is most people use that leverage to become comfortable instead of becoming free. They use the paycheck to finance liabilities. They use BAH to pay someone else's mortgage. They transfer the GI Bill with no strategy. They ignore the TSP matching. They separate with no plan. And then they blame the military, the economy, the VA, the job market, or whatever else helps them sleep at night. But the truth is, the military can be a cage or can be a launch pad, depending on how you use it. And if you treat the benefits like discounts as Zaxby's, that's what you'll get. If you treat them like assets, then you'll build wealth. And if you combine Zaxby's discounts with the assets, that's how you're able to build a life that you want to live that allows your wife to lose $30K per month at her nail salon, bakery, boutique shop. And if you combine all of those things with a high income skill like sales, now you're not just protected, you are fucking dangerous. Because now you have downside protection and upside potential. That is the game. So if you are active duty, separating, or already out and trying to figure out what to do next, stop waiting until life forces you to decide and start building leverage now. Subscribe down below because I post new videos every week showing you how to learn sales, how to make money online, and how to use the military as the launch pad it is instead of treating it like the final chapter. Catch you in the next one, homie.